Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse and to a Warehouse interview. Tonight I'd like to welcome Mark Gable to the show. He is founding member, songwriter of the band Choirboys. He is here for a chat. Ashley Geisler is here as well. We're just hanging out in the warehouse. And hell, look, it's even including the original hype sticker. Huh, can't beat that. All right, Mark Gable, everybody, let's do it.
We serve solos with a side of swagger. Extra loud on request. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Well, anyway, I want to thank Ashley for getting this lined up. And Mark, thanks for coming on the Warehouse.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be in 3 different places all at once. It's wonderful.
Where are you actually located, though?
I'm on the Central Coast, New South Wales of Australia. Yeah. It's the most beautiful place in the world. And, well, you know, there are some more beautiful places. Depends on your perspective. But it's lovely up here. And I'm not a fan of Sydney anymore. Sydney's probably the grumpiest city in the world, without a doubt. But that's just a personal opinion.
I'm not judging. I'm in the USA. I have no idea.
No, that's all right. You know, it's just that New York is way better and Chicago is way better and a lot more fun than Sydney. Yeah.
Ashley, is that true? Just joking.
I haven't been to Sydney in over 20 years, so I can't really comment, unfortunately.
All right. Well, I have no idea. I've never been there.
Oh, well, I drive in and out catching planes and all the rest of it. The last time I drove...
But you formed in Sydney, though, right, Mark?
I did the wrong thing at an industry, on the northern beaches, the northern beaches of Sydney. And I look at the northern beaches from where I am and I go, yeah, it's still a cool place. But once again, it's very busy. And, a lot of people living in Sydney is very expensive. But there are, Adelaide's great, where Ashley's from. It's like a great town. And even Brisbane, even Melbourne, But anyway, it's side issue, not really that important. But like I was saying, the last time I was in Sydney, I'm driving through and I did the wrong thing at a crossing and this guy glared at me and I go, sorry, I forgot I was in Sydney, and then and off he walked, So you can't really even have any fun down there anymore.
Well, anyway, we probably should do a proper intro. But ladies and gentlemen, you know how the Warehouse works. And Mark, this is not the Rolling Stone interview. So we're going to keep all that. It's very loose. The way I like to do this, good. Mark, it's just like some guys hanging out at a record store talking.
Yeah, that's good.
You like that? That's good. Because let me ask you a quick question, though. All the guitars behind you, I'm assuming those are yours?
Yeah, they are. And if I can point it, I don't know whether you can. Oh, you can see that one. I'm pointing at it now.
The Strat?
The Strat was my second guitar. I bought it in 1968 and we went to decimal currency, dollars, in 1967, I believe. And I bought that for $416 back in 1968, and I've had it ever since.
Is that a 68 Strat? Is that a 68 Strat?
It is. Yeah. And our big hit in Australia, Run to Paradise, that plays the intro to Run to Paradise. Yeah.
So that's been on a lot of tracks then. That's a historic guitar as far as the Choirboys go.
It is. Yeah, and Grant, if you want to buy it, I'm selling that for $250,000 US dollars.
Not interested.
You sure? Okay.
No. That might be a little high for a 68 Strat. Now, if that was a 54 Strat, you might have that. But you might be a little bit off on that. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just maybe. Anyway,
you could be right.
I'm probably right. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mark Gable here from the Choirboys. Now, if you don't know these guys in the States, we have done a show where we have played Choirboys and we featured them. Correct, Ashley? We are correct. We have featured the band. So they are a legendary Australian hard rock, pub rock band, whatever you want to call it. So you were from Sydney's northern beaches, best known for your massive 1987-88 hit, Run to Paradise. Mark is the front man, lead vocalist, guitarist, founding member, and a constant driving force behind the band since its formation in 1979. Mark, welcome to the show. Nice to see you. Wow.
Well, thanks for having me, Grant.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I called you Grant, but it's, how do you pronounce it? Grant or Grant? Grant, I like that. Okay.
You can call me whatever you want.
No, I won't do that.
I'm going to start this off. What was it like when you guys started out in 79? What was the Northern Beaches pub scene like?
Yeah, it was a remarkable time because, like, in Australia, we're talking coming out of, and, all over the world, we're talking coming out of the 50s, right? Well, the 40s, you had, what was his name? Robinson, the guy that invented the blues. I've forgotten his first name.
Well, that's hard to pinpoint who invented the blues.
Yeah, well, it is, but,
Robert Johnson?
Robert Johnson. I got it around the wrong way. Thank you.
There you go.
That was happening in the 40s, right? And then you go to the 50s and there was, things happening in Australia like Johnny O'Keefe and things like that, the rock and roll thing. But then we used to cover a lot of American songs, from Elvis or whatever, and even Johnny O'Keefe. But then Johnny O'Keefe managed to write a song called Wild Child, which was recorded by Iggy Pop, right? But this was in the 50s, right? But then you got into the 60s, and so you had bands like the Easy Beats and what have you, all starting to write their original music, and it became a real thing. And then when it hit the 70s, it was going big time, particularly in the pubs and clubs, where bands were writing original songs and performing them in front of crowds, right? Because all they had was television, and it wasn't that great. So they would be going out like 6 nights a week, watching bands performing original music. And this is happening in America as well, so, it had always happened in America. And then, of course, it started in England as well. And so by the time it hit the 80s, it was like, blockbuster all over the world, and you had bands from the USA, Canada, from England, Australia, New Zealand, doing amazing things all over the world with original music. And that's what it was. We would go out every night of the week and, see bands performing original songs that they'd written, talking about their lifestyle. And the classic one, of course, was Cold Chisel in Australia. But then, they were talking about living in Australia, and it was amazing to hear songs that you could relate to. But then you had bands like the Angels, they were known as Angel City in America. And, of course, NXS doing it. They were from the Northern Beaches where we started. And, Midnight Oil, AC/DC, of course, the biggest band in the world ever. And so, it went. And so for us, to be developing in the 70s, and just writing original songs, it really was an incredible time. And to go and perform them in front of an audience. And if the song was shit, the audience would go, yeah, I don't get it, But if the song was great, they go, yes, And so it really was an amazing time. But remember, not just in Australia, but right across the world.
Yeah, we just did a show. I had Angie Moon on the show yesterday, and we just did our show on the Easy Beats. Funny that you should mention them. But the thing about the Easy Beats were, think about this. You had the Beatles that really were like one of those bands that started writing their own material for the most part. But the Easy Beats wrote all their stuff from like 64 on. Very little, very few cover versions, Absolutely fantastic. I mean, did that have a lot of influence on the Choirboys at all, the whole Easy Beats scene back in the day?
Well, funny you should mention that, but a big influence, because I think that probably the second band that I saw live was the Easy Beats at the Hordern Pavilion in Sydney, and there's a whole story behind that. And then a drummer from a band in Australia called TMG, or Ted Mulray Gang, he we got to know them because we did a few shows with that band. Goes, hey, look, you're doing demos at the moment. I go, yeah, and this is in like 1977, 78. And he goes, could you give me, a tape, a cassette tape of the demos when they're finished? So I'll give it to someone and see what they think. And the next thing I know, I get a call from George Young. Well, it was months later.
Yeah.
George Young, who's, of course, Angus and Malcolm's brother, and the rhythm guitarist, main songwriter from the Easy Beats, going, hey, Mark. Oh, no, that was an American accent. Oh, Mark, it's George Young here. With his Glasgow accent, And, that was the start of us doing our thing. And we went into Albert's and recorded our first album in the same studio that AC/DC recorded, The Angels, Rose Tattoo, and all that kind of thing. So there's a big history there, and like George Young, Stevie Wright, the singer from the Easy Beats, and of course, Harry Vander, the lead guitarist in the Easy Beats. I mean, the songs that they wrote were just unbelievable, and even today, whenever we perform the songs as part of a show that we're doing, which is a history, it's kind of, the stories that have gone on with Australian rock and roll. It's called Run to Paradise, the Great Australian Rock and Roll Stories. And we do some of the Easy Beat songs. And I mean, my God, they're just incredible, and it's just, you go, why? And we always say this, why didn't they break in America, when they should have? And there's a list of bands that, that we always talk about that never cracked it in America, and let's face it, America, the songs that have come out of America, come out of England, with the Beatles and all the rest of it. And, but, there were some great artists in Australia that never cracked it in America.
No, the biggest band that AC/DC, I guess. But, Men at Work were big over here. Angel City never really took off.
Little River Band.
Little River Band was huge in the 70s. Huge in the 70s. But I bet when you were the band was young. I bet you just had to pinch yourself when you were working with Albert Productions, though. I mean,
yes and no. That it was like, it was just the way things worked, and it was like we kept, George Young said, Mark, just get the band to go out there, get to do it live, do it live, do it live, do it live, And he said, the lyrics are the most important thing in the song, not the melody, And he was right, because Bon Scott was a great lyricist, original singer from AC/DC. And so we went out and did gigs, and eventually people started calling up Albert's going, like other record companies going, are these guys signed to you? And then I remember George coming into Studio One when we were doing demos, and that's where AC/DC recorded their first 6 albums. And he goes, I think we better do a record because people were bugging him about Choirboys. And so, I think in hindsight, I look back at it and go, I met Angus Young there. I used to go up to the pub with Malcolm Young, and, Brian Johnson came in once, and he was doing a big rave in the studio. And it was just this atmosphere about the place that you kind of took for granted. But all the great stuff that came out of there was indicative of the times. And, I look back at it and now I go, wow. And the Angel City, of course, talking to the guys, they go, their biggest regret was leaving Albert's. And it was pretty much true. I think that was the downfall of the band because they were amazing. And if they had persisted, America would have loved them, because great live performance, incredibly individual and amazing songs. And the list goes on.
Yeah, 100%. Ashley, you got something?
Yeah.
Don't mean to dominate. Go ahead.
That's right, Mark. Okay, Mark, when you did the debut album, I featured this on the show. We do little unknown bands. And I featured tracks from this and Midnight Sun, which Grant ended up loving it and ended up going out and buying himself. Good man.
Yeah, I heard it because Ashley turned me on to it, and I had to go out and get it. And what a great record! Gee, many Christmas.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, you know,
So
thank
when
you
you did
very
it,
much.
you had George Young and Harry Vander as executive producers, but the guy that produced the album was a guy by the name of Jim Manzies, and Jim Manzies was a guy. He was in Old 55 and also in the Breakers. How did you meet up with Jim?
Well, I met him through Albert's because he got the job there as a producer. And George and Harry, I think they were getting over it at this time, like producing. They were coming to their end of the rope for them. And so they said, use Jim and we'll, oversee the whole thing. And away we went, and that was the first album. And it was still heavily influenced by Studio One, Albert's Productions, rock and roll, pub rock, if you will. You can still hear it in there. And the first single off that, Never Gonna Die, I remember doing one of the takes in Studio One, and I had no idea that, and I used to sing in the studio, right? And I've forgotten who I got that from, but it'll come to me eventually. I'm terrible with names at the moment.
All right.
Scottish singer in a band, but she used to sing in the studio, not in the control room, where all the speakers were. And so I was doing, Never Gonna Die, the first single. And then when I finished, I turned around and George Young was sitting on the couch behind me going, that was a great take, Mark. Great, good on you. So there you go.
Man. Ugh, crazy. 1980.
You had some vocal cord problems too, Mark. After the debut,
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah, you had like a serious vocal cord injury in like 1983 that sidelined the band for a few years. What was that period like?
Well, that was a disaster, and it was actually Stevie Wright from the Easy Beats who advised us. So I'm having trouble with my voice. He goes, "Stop drinking milk." He goes, "I don't drink milk," right?
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped drinking milk, right? And I used to do it to, build up the body and everything. I still have pizzas on the weekend after I finish shows, right? But I don't drink milk, right?
Well, what does milk do? What's the problem with milk?
I'm allergic to it. So I was getting this thing happening with the voice. And then a doctor advised me to take a thing called, I don't know what it was called. It's not available anymore. And it actually causes, it's like taking certain pills. Like I can have Panadol, I can't have I don't know whether that's available in America. We have nappies, you have diapers, So I can have Panadol, but I can't have Aspro because Aspro thin the blood vessels in your body. And so with the pressure of singing, it bursts the blood vessels. And I remember having an Aspro after a show in the 90s. Oh, by the way, when it first happened, the doctor said, and it ruptured my vocal cord, they said, the specialist said, you cannot sing for a year, you can't talk for 3 months. Then when it happened the next time, it was Ian Moss from Cold Chisel that said, go to this specialist. Right, so I went to him and he goes, yeah, just don't talk for 2 weeks, you'll be all right. And I did that, was fine. Then it happened again in the 90s, right? And I'd had an Aspro. I didn't realize that they caused it. And I had it after the show, and then I coughed, and it went, whoop, my voice went again. So I just went, cool, I'm just not going to see a doctor. I won't do anything for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right, or even a week, and I would have been fine. But this 12-month thing, and it destroyed our careers then, even though we did a big comeback. It was like a bloody disaster. So anyway, if you go back in time, don't go to a doctor in the 80s, okay? No, don't do that.
When I get into my time machine, I won't go back. Okay.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I'm right in the middle of writing a song called Time Fly about a digital fly that goes back in time, and it really sees what happened in history. I'm just recording it here at the moment, trying to get it finished. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. With my first introduction to the Choirboys, Mark, I remember watching a show as a teenager. I watched a show called Beatbox. Do you remember Beatbox on the ABC?
Wow.
And my first taste of you guys was when I heard this song.
Wow. Look at that.
Heard this
fireworks.
Yes,
and
fireworks.
I only knew it was fireworks. I couldn't see it at the bottom because you had it too close to the camera. There you go. Look at that fireworks. Pull it back. There you go. And it's like, yeah, that's a
lot of flannel on that cover. A lot of flannel.
I got it in the packet. I got it in the cover. You see, I'll take it out. Yeah. How does that look? How does that look? That bit better.
Oh, much better. That looks real.
A lot of plaid.
Yeah. I love this song. Absolutely love it. But when you did Big Bad Noise, you did a different version of it compared to this one. Why did you change it for? Me personally, I prefer this version better.
That's right. That's why, if you look on YouTube, I had to restripe that original version because I had the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only version that was up there had the audio out of time with the film clip. And so I had to restripe it and put it up with, or at least do another version with the audio in time because I'm a tech nut and, like recording freak anyway. So I went, I'll fix this up. But all our fans have complained about that, why we re-recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we did Midnight Sun, we did it in Los Angeles. And our producer, Mark Tanner, said, hey, and I'm sorry, Grant, I'm going to do an American accent here.
Go ahead.
He goes, hey, guys, I really think we should, do a better version of this. So we rewrote it and re-recorded it, and hence the different version of it. And all our fans go, I hate that one you did on the album. The original version is so much better, you bastards. Yeah.
Well, you'll get that.
There you go.
Well, that track went double platinum, right? It gave you like international chart success as well, didn't it? I mean, did that?
No, Run to Paradise went double platinum.
Was that?
And gave us international chart success.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
And that's considered a total classic. Well, talk about Run to Paradise. What's the story behind that song and the lyrics?
Well, the lyrics started when I talk about this in our show, the Run to Paradise, the Great Australian Rock and Roll Stories. Before we do Run to Paradise, it started because of my upbringing on the Northern Beaches. And my first job was at a place called Warringah Mall in Brookvale on Pittwater Road, Brookvale, and which is it's a Northern Beaches suburb. And I grew up there, up on the hill, looking over the Pacific Ocean, which is Tasman Sea, actually. But anyway, and we, on my first job was a place called Fleming's Fabulous Foods in the 60s. And there was a girl called Jenny, her full name was Jenny Webber, who worked at a place called David Jones. Now, this is a brand new mall. 1968 was when it was completed, and that's when I got, my job, there. And Jenny, I fell in love with her, and I got a job at David Jones, department store, specifically to meet Jenny. And so the lyrics are, starts off with, baby, you don't be the one. I don't know if I ever did it just for fun. To Run to Paradise. And it goes, Jenny, I'll meet you at the grocery store. Now, the grocery store is a reference to Fleming's, and there's Jenny. And I used to see Jenny walk to work. We're talking the 60s here. Beautiful Northern Beaches girl, long light brown hair, wearing a mini skirt, high heel shoes, which I despise now, but I was madly in love with it. And I went across and I finally met Jenny, in David Jones. And so that was the inspiration for the song. But the real inspiration for the chorus, you don't want anyone, you don't want anyone, don't tell me this is paradise. Sorry about singing early in the morning. And the real inspiration was the drunks and dope smokers on the northern beaches of Sydney. I just go, and I was a teetotaler at the time. I look at them and go, bloody hell, you wombats, right? And it was like the amount of like kids going out and being drunk and drink driving and, all the rest of it. I thought it was unbelievable, but it still exists today. The young kids, teenagers in their early 20s are going nuts. A friend of mine ended up high on LSD, walking down Pittwater Road, Narrabeen, and he got arrested by the cops. The reason he got arrested was because he was stark naked.
Well, that might do it.
Oh, God.
Hey, it was the early 70s.
And they put him in a psychiatric place. Yeah, I know. They put him in a psychiatric joint, and I went and saw him, and he looked at me, and because I was a teetotaler, remember? And I knew he was brilliant mind, very intelligent. He looked at me and he went, "You think I'm a fucker, don't you, Mark?" And I go, "Yeah, pretty much."
So it was like one gland calling to the other with Jenny then.
What was that?
Jenny,
yeah.
One gland calling to the other gland. You were a young man. I get it.
I was a young man. I remember, looking at this girl walking to work and going,
"Yeah, I know that look."
Now, at my age, it looks like a Rolf Harris look, but you got to remember I was bloody 17.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Did anything become of Jenny, though?
You what?
Did anything, a young man pursuing Jenny?
I can't tell you the story because I tell it on stage, right?
Oh, okay.
With the show, but I can't tell you. No, nothing ever happened. And I tried to find Jenny. Well, something did happen, but I tried to find Jenny subsequently, to let her know that she's the Jenny, but I'm successful at doing so.
That's a good story anyway.
That song's a national anthem here in Australia. You hear it everywhere. You hear the song absolutely everywhere. I've even seen people, still today. I've even seen people at karaoke bars do it. So, which is a bit of a sight sometimes. It's everywhere. It's songs actually everywhere. With the Big Bad Noise album, Mark, too, there were other singles of this as well. We had Boys Will Be Boys and Struggle Town, another song that I really like. Were you surprised of how big this album actually became?
Yeah, I think that if you look at any artist, right, and I'll go there briefly before I give the answer to that, but I remember when the movie, Eagles History came out, and I couldn't wait to watch it because I'm a huge Eagles fan, right? And then when I watched it, I realized that they were all a bunch of raving lunatics, right, who were just very creative. So, and I just thought they were going to be like, let's write songs and be very successful and be very focused and business-like about this and that. But they weren't. They were just like out of control, raving lunatics making music. And I guess really we, even though once again I was a teetotaler at that time, well, at the beginning of it, but we just didn't know what we were doing. We were just creating, and we just created something, and people liked it. And see, that David Bowie's the one that I've been taking his advice lately. He said, just write songs that you like. Don't think about what people will like. Just write what you like. And if you do that, then invariably people will like it. And it's true. So if you look at the history of songwriting, I mean, the Beatles, for God's sake, Liverpool, they were, got to do my English accent now. It's not working. It's gone to an Irish accent. So they would have been hanging around in Liverpool in the bloody winter going, what are we going to do now? We go, well, we've got a guitar. Let's go and write song, And they didn't plan that. It just bloody happened. So, and it's like every band that I talk to, I've done my own radio shows over the years and stuff like that. Particularly one band is Dragon, New Zealand band. It should have been big in America, but weren't. And they go bumping into walls. And that's what it was. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just bumping into walls.
Yeah, I think you can use that whole logic. You have to be true to yourself. I think pretty much with any artistic, approach, you have to be true to yourself. You have to do what you feel and go with that. And if you don't, I don't think things are going to work out. Because I think for one, people can
Exactly.
sense that. They want someone who's, legitimate, someone who they feel the passion. They know that the person has that. What's the word? Help me, Mark. Something. Just you know what I mean.
They have an inner voice that speaks about their life, right?
Yes.
And the thing is that people they come up and ask us about our songs, or they mention our songs, and it's about, when I would write the songs, it's about my inner voice, right? And it's like Billy Joel, it's the same, he just spoke from inside, and it's David Bowie was the same. And it doesn't matter who it is. It's like you're talking from an inner voice. And that's what people like, is that inner voice talking about their lives, because it speaks to people out there about their lives and they can connect with it.
Yeah, I have to 100%. I'm with you on that. What do you remember about back in the day supporting international acts or touring overseas in the late 80s and early 90s? Got any good stories or anything that pops into your head?
Well, there's lots of good stories, like, touring with Deep Purple. And, I tell this story on stage with our theatre show, pardon me, is that I have a bad right knee. There's a cruciate ligament missing. And Deep Purple are responsible for that because they asked to do a friendly soccer match with them. But I can't go into the details because I tell that story on stage and I don't want to disappoint people, because there's a whole rave to it. But they were like lovely, really good guys. And they all gave me, John Lord gave me a hug, and he's not with us anymore after the tour finished. And I spent the tour on a stool, on stage, or the rest of it, half of it at least, And so they were great guys, touring with Bon Jovi, that was, fantastic. Like John Bon Jovi was a great performer. But I have to tell you something, right? He would be on stage sweating and struggling, right? And I thought, with getting his notes and stuff, oh yeah, living on a prayer, and when it got to that, right, he's so easy for him. I go, how the hell is he singing that so easily, yet he's struggling with all the other stuff, which is not as difficult. Anyway, we were at soundcheck, right, and then I heard a click track coming from stage, and then I heard his voice going, what? Now, but they weren't on stage at this point. And so I went back to the sound desk, and there was a tape recorder running, right, with his voice doing that. So he mimes the chorus, right? But look, I don't blame him. It was bloody hard. So there you go. However, that band on stage were just amazing, like just incredible. Touring with Def Leppard, right? I love those guys, right? Out of all the bands that we've toured with, they were just the best bunch of guys. They were human, normal, and just, like just amazing, people, very down to earth, and you wouldn't even know that they were rock stars, when you were just talking to them backstage. Sit down with them, having dinner after the show or before the show. They were just incredible. I love them.
Wow. Gosh, what year was that probably?
That was 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, that we did it with Def Leppard. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, so it was just incredible.
Every time I've seen like an interview of Joe Elliott or whatever, or Phil or whoever, they all seem pretty normal. They all seem pretty down to earth. I totally get that. But Bon Jovi.
And I left out a band, which I shouldn't have. Yeah, Bon Jovi. But I left out another band we love, and I love the guys, and still in touch with them, and that's Cheap Trick, right?
Oh, well, I love Cheap Trick.
And Rick Nielsen, told me, like I just said, "How you going, mate?" We're backstage walking along, and I said, "It's great that your son's playing drums." Now I can't remember the drummers, the original drummer's
Bunny
name.
Carlos.
There you go. And he goes, "Well, Bunny, and I said, "Your son, he's doing an amazing job, And he goes, "Yeah, well, Bunny, we started doing shows with him, and he'd insist on only doing half an hour or 45 minutes, and then, he would do less than that, just walk off stage. Guy was a total bastard." And I go, "Nice chap. Thanks, Rick."
Yeah. Oh, I do have a Rick, Mark, I do have a Rick Nielsen story if you want to hear it.
Yes, please.
In the 80s, I worked at a guitar store in beautiful, scenic Marion, Ohio. And we had a festival there called the Marion Popcorn Festival. Now, this was during the era where Cheap Trick wasn't really selling any records. The whole thing with Budokan had passed, Dream Police had passed, and I think this was the end of the tour for the album Standing on the Edge. Anyway, you're aware that Rick Nielsen's a big guitar collector.
Oh, yeah, he's a nut. Yeah.
Well, I had a guy call from the Popcorn Festival, and I worked at the guitar store. He said, "Hey, how late are you guys open?" And I'm going, "Oh, we're open till 7. Good. I got somebody I'm going to bring down." I said, "Well, who's coming down?" He said, "Rick Nielsen will be there in 2 minutes." So they walked from the stage down to the guitar store. Rick Nielsen comes in like he owns the place, going all through the store looking for stuff, going in the back room, clearing the back room, Mark, where we had guitar lessons, looking for stuff. Now, at that time, I had a dig this. You're going to appreciate this. I personally had my 1961 Gibson Les Paul Jr. for sale. And of course, you know what he's going to look at. So he said, "Hey, that Les Paul Jr." He said, "It's a 61, right?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "I'll give you $400. Bring it down to the stage before. We'll let you hang out backstage. You can hang out in the trailer, blah, and then I'll pay you after the show." And he played that Les Paul on the last song that they played. So he played it on Clock Strikes 10. So that was the story. So I sold the guitar to him. Now it's worth way more than $400. But
what year was that? Just sorry to interrupt there, but what year was that?
1986.
Come on. It's worth at least $1,000.
No, it's a Les Paul Jr. It looks looked like an SG.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm still going to complain to his son.
Go ahead. That's fine.
I'll see if I can get your money.
But really, that's what it was going for. Well, but Mark, I think I was asking for more money, but then I thought, well, Rick Nielsen, collector. If I'm going to sell it, wouldn't it be better in his hands than a lot of people? Yeah. So I said, I'll let you have it for $400. Well, I traded that guitar for a guy traded me. I had a purple Ibanez. Was it a Roadmaster? Anyway, I had a purple Ibanez the guy traded me for. So it was the 80s. Things weren't worth as much then, Anyway.
A purple Ibanez. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, yes. Well, the odd thing is that my first guitar was an Ibanez. Oh.
Nothing wrong with the Ibanez at all.
No, they're okay.
Well, look at
they're not as interesting as this. Hang on.
Well, no, it's not. But still, it makes a good. Oh, here we go. What is that? One of those. What is that?
It's a Japanese guitar called a Maya, right? And they got sued by Gibson for stealing the shape. Yeah. And so my wife, Melinda Schneider, who is a country singer here in Australia, she was born in 1971. She got this in 1977, right? Her parents bought it for her. And she used to play slide on it when she was on stage before she turned 10. So there it is. I've still got to get it working properly. I'm going to use it on stage.
Is it short scale or is it normal scale length?
Yes. No, it's very short.
It's a short scale. What's it, 3/4 inch, probably? Yeah, but that'd be perfect for.
Can you see it?
That would be perfect for slide. Yeah, that's 3/4 inch.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, I want to use, sorry, I'm coming back now. I want to use it on stage.
No, that'd be perfect for slide.
So funny looking.
Sorry, Ashley, we're talking gear.
Yeah,
I can't help it. Because when Mark comes on this show and he's got all these great guitars, I'm all intrigued.
That's good. Mark, you've got an unusual way you play guitar, haven't you, Mark?
An unusual way?
You play with 3 fingers and not 2, don't you?
Well, okay. All right. So, good question. All right. Let's grab an acoustic guitar. This is a good one. This is a good one. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, what I do is like, now I've forgotten his name, the guy for Green Day.
Billy Joe
the singer. Billy Joe Armstrong. Right. Now, that's exactly the way he plays it, right? And that's exactly the way I play it, because I play in a way that I've never had lessons. So Billy had lessons apparently, but there's a certain sound about it which is very old-fashioned.
Well, you're not putting the first string.
I didn't realize.
Well, you're not putting your first finger down.
That's a G, but I'm only.
Yeah.
No, that's muted. They're open. The second one is muted again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so another turning point, a box up in the road. Whereas if you were a taught player, you'll go, another turning point, a box up in the road, which is boring. Whereas, and it's like, because we didn't learn, like, back in the 70s, like 60s, but,
But that still works. It's still a G chord, though.
Well, that's the way AC/DC played, right? And so, and so I just, and it's like a C chord, then a D chord, right? And then, where was I? C, D, E chord, and then F chord.
Yeah, you're just not using a bar chord. You're just keeping it open.
And because it's all in, and Ashley, to answer the question, it's all in the muting, right? It's like, I didn't know that I could play any note on the guitar but still play all the strings. G, it's a bit rough, but you know what I mean.
Well,
so it's like
Zoom kind of edits out the music part.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's like playing the chords, the right chords. It's okay, but and at the moment I'm writing a song. Look at this, or finished writing it. The riff never changes, right? And it's actually D,
just
G,
different finger.
A, and it's like just that never stops. And I go, I'm weird. No, I'm not weird. I just come from a time when people did, stupid stuff like that, and it's like, I try to show people that, and they go, like guys in bands, and they go, "Oh, I don't understand." So you couldn't cheat on. I'll pop this back there with me.
Yeah.
You couldn't teach people that kind of thing.
Well, when I learned to play guitar, when I took guitar lessons, that's how I learned to play a G chord. Was just the second finger on the 3rd fret on the E string.
Yeah. Good. I'm proud of you, because
it sounds
real.
When you do it that way, it sounds way more open. Well,
it's like what Billy Joe Armstrong doing. Oh God, my brain.
It's all right.
The song, the song, which is an acoustic song. Green Day's biggest hit. Yeah,
Time of Your Life.
Time of Your Life.
Yeah, Time of Your Life. Yeah, and it's like, it's just, if he did it with the real chords, the way you really meant to play it, it would sound horrible, you know. And it's like, and see, I reckon back in the day, like, and I've been to Beale Street a few times, Memphis, right, where it all started. And that's where it all started. There were all these guys playing, you know, and they would have been going, "Hey, how do you tune this thing?" They go, "I don't know." You know, and they would have been going, or some guy would go, "Yeah, I know how, you know, what do we do now?" "I don't know." You make noise on it, right? And that's the way it is. And it's like, you know, like these guys that play, they don't play in the expected way, like, you know, Eric Clapton or Eddie Van Halen, you know. And I briefly met Eddie Van Halen, by the way. I was going to the toilet and he was in the way. I didn't know it was him. And I go, excuse me, he goes, "Well, I'm sorry." And then I'm having a leak in the toilet and I go, "Oh God, that was Eddie Van Halen," you know. And then Pete Frampton in LA introduced me to Stevie Marriott. Do you know who Stevie Marriott is, right? Yeah. Small Faces, great singer, right? And then I go, "Nice to meet you." And he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I go, and then I go into the loo and I go, "Oh Christ, that was Stevie Marriott."
Well, I mean, he was in Humble Pie too, but I think when I listen to Steve Marriott, man, this Small Faces stuff, Mark, that's what I really like.
Well, it's
Small
just
Faces, fantastic.
It's pure talent, isn't it? It's like we don't have anything else, you know, where, you know, I have to sing, right? And so there are some people that sing, and everybody can sing, right? And everybody goes, you know, Bob Dylan's great, you know, and I don't think, you know, he's not technically the best singer in the world, but he's one of the best singers in the world for me because I can relate to him and he talks to me, you know. So it's like, yeah, Stevie Marriott, you hear him sing and you go, wow. And this is just a guy that was born in England, you know, who grew up at a time, and started doing it. It's like all these people. They're only human, you know? They're only human.
Yeah.
I sidetracked again.
Hey, Mark, we do a lot of tangents on this show. I said, this isn't the Rolling Stone interview. We're just chatting. So we can go on any tangent you want. So we're all good. Ashley,
you still involved with radio, Mark, at all?
No, I haven't done it for ages. I'd like to do it, but radio, like television, is a shrinking medium. It's like I'm writing songs now, and my vision is and I've got a whole bunch to do, is to record them. And of course, I've got a whole studio set up here, and, you know, with the guys, and do the videos and do video shorts and everything, and do the songs. And the last one we released is a song called 6-7, which was because I've got a 13-year-old. When he had his 13th birthday, all the kids are going 6-7, 6-7, 6-7. You may not know what it is, but you've got to look it up. And so I wrote a song about it. And it's just done here. And so that's what I really want to do, is just release, you know, have us write songs and record them here and do it that way, because radio, you know, you can't go, hey, we want to get played on radio. It's not relevant anymore.
Yeah,
hey, we want to get exposure on television. It's not relevant anymore. It's a different world, and you've got to embrace that. And a lot of people aren't embracing it. They're complaining about it, but I'm afraid it is the way it is, and I'm kind of enjoying it, actually.
Yeah, everywhere you go, at least here in the States, Mark, you could listen to an FM rock station here, and you could go to an FM rock station in San Diego, whatever, take your pick. Everybody's playing the same thing. A lot of these radio stations here, I don't know where it's like where you are, but they're all pretty much owned by the same people.
Yeah, they are now. Yeah, same here. Yeah. And it's like, the individuality and the excitement of radio has been taken away. And particularly, we had an accident, SAFM, where the radio personalities called up asking about someone, a royal individual, I don't remember it, and Ashley might know better than me.
Yeah, I remember.
Who was sick, and they spoke to a nurse, or at least to, the intermediary between it all, and she gave them information, and they were joking, saying that they were, the radio station was joking about the whole thing. And when it all got out, the unfortunate person they called up committed suicide. And as a consequence, radio was restricted dramatically in Australia. But that, unfortunately, it ruined it because the adventure had gone out of radio. It's like, I'm currently watching Monty Python's Life of Brian, and there's a freedom about it,
Yeah.
And, like even the 90s movies coming out of America, there was a freedom about them that isn't really there at the moment. And so it's kind of, it's sad, the changes that have happened. So really, the only place where there is probably freedom is online.
Yeah. All
For
radio
now.
does today is play
For
classics.
now, Mark. Yeah. For now.
But I'm not going to say anything, horrible here.
No.
I'll only say it about myself. I just get these weird urges, and I have to go and find a room and then, do something disgusting in the bowl,
Mm-hmm.
and then flush it away. So that's the only horrible thing I'll say. There you go.
Oh,
So you say you're recording new stuff, Mark. When can we expect something new from the Choirboys then?
Well, 6-7 came out about 2 months ago, and so I'm just working on. Well, I've got a song which is like, at the moment, it's called "Song for Australia," which is like an anthem about Australia. Then I've got the Narcissist song, and so we got so many songs that are ready to put out. But I'm working on this one called Time Fly, and I'm thinking about, would I have the energy and the drive to write a rock opera called Time Fly? So we actually see, and it's about a digital fly that these two people, Jenny and Johnny, Johnny, funny that at the moment.
Jenny's making another appearance.
Possibly, who developed this digital fly that goes back in time and gets on the wall, and you actually see what happened to JFK. And then you actually see if, and this is in the song, if JFK does it with Marilyn Monroe, right? And then you really see if Elvis did die or did he keep living, right? And all this other stuff, and how did Hitler go and all this other stuff. But generally, so I'm thinking about a rock opera around this, about what really did happen back in time rather than the interpretation. And, the song is called, of course, Time Fly. So I'm working on that one at the moment, or we're working on that one at the moment. So, hopefully get it out here soon. But, I'm just having bloody problems with the rhythm guitar player, which is me, because he's not playing the right stuff. Oh, I'm going to kick his butt.
You might want to take him aside and talk to him. Pretty hard to do to
That's
talk
a better
to.
way. I think that compassion and understanding. And I'm thinking about starting my own new political party based on love, acceptance, communication, and connection.
I like that.
I don't think a lot of people are going to like that, but,
I like it.
Yeah, but I think that's what's needed, I think that I need to go and sit down with these people and go, let's see if we can work it out. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. The Choirboys have had a lot of lineup changes over the 45 plus years. What's the biggest challenge in keeping the Choirboys going? I mean, what's the key? How do you do it?
I think that, well, there's two indicative members. That's Ian Hume, bass player, and myself, that have been there. And he was really the first one that I met in like 76. And so then we had Lindsay Tebbett come in as drummer, and he passed away a couple of years ago.
Like 2021, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then Brad Carr, who, brilliant guitar player, but he had his issues and, he couldn't sustain it. We were doing our second album, which was Big Bad Noise album. He didn't turn up for the recording, for the demos, so I had to go down to his place. And then for some weird reason, I was able to get up in the building next door, and I saw him hiding under the bed in his bedroom. And then I knocked on the door, and his wife goes, "He's not here." And I go, "Yes, he is. He's under the bed." And he goes, "He won't come out. He just didn't want to do it anymore." So the biggest problem you have in being in a band is personalities, and I mean, let's face it, the 27 Club, is like a nightmare of personalities. Yeah. But, brilliant people. And Brad Carr, brilliant guitar player. I mean, he was world class and only did one album. And so, it's like, the list goes on. And so dealing with personalities has been the most difficult part. But we're finding it very easy now to deal with personality. I just love them all. And so, yeah, it's quite settled down at the moment. I love it.
Good. That probably also makes it a lot easier when you're composing music and playing together, and if it has that chemistry. It's all about chemistry.
It is all about chemistry. As I said, that the amount of bands that have had problems, or artists that have had problems, it just goes on and on. And but the chemistry, it's like the bands I've seen on stage, their chemistry, like Divinals, for instance, I go, oh, wow, the chemistry on stage. But yet you talk to the members and, they go, one in particular, he goes, I couldn't deal with the angst. I couldn't deal with the angst. And it's like having to be together when you're not on stage, in, the bus, in the plane, in the backstage area. That's where the difficulties are.
Yeah.
But we've had all that, and we've gone through that. And now we come out the other side, and we're going strong, and we're loving it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great. That's great.
Well, Ashley, you got something else?
I have, yes. Back in 2012, Mark, you were involved in a supergroup called the Dinosaurs, which had Les Gock from Hush, Mark Evans from AC/DC, the Buzz from Angels.
Yep.
How'd that all come together?
Well, it was, how did it come together? I think it had more to do with me and Les Gock from Hush putting it together, and Buzz Bizzard from the Angels. Yeah, we just wanted to get a band and, see if we could get some gigs, but it never sustained. We did a few gigs, and once again, the personalities got in the way. And it didn't really work, long term.
Yeah.
But I think we recorded a couple of songs. How you hear them, I don't know. Yeah.
They're on YouTube. If anyone's interested out there, they're all on YouTube. And also for people that are interested too, the Choirboys also did a cover of Easy Beat songs too.
Yes, we did a tribute album of the Easy Beat songs. And the reason that we did it was that I wanted to get all the backing vocals right, because I think that the Easy Beats fucked them up. And I wanted to get them in tune, in time, the right place, and the better arrangement. Now, in hindsight, after listening to both Easy Beats and Choirboys, I think Easy Beats were correct in the first inst.
Wow.
But, I just wanted to celebrate the songs because I'm from the 60s in Australia. they've been ignored, you know, and
Really?
songs.
The 60s are ignored?
Yes, you know, because it's like every generation, you know, used to, like the 50s, right? The 60s come along and go, the 50s suck, right? And then when the 70s come along, the 60s suck, right? Then the 80s come along and go, the 70s suck. Then the 90s come along and they go, the 80s sucked, right? And then the 2000s come along and everybody gave up, you know.
Oh my God. The 2000s is just an extension of the 90s. I mean, I know
it was. I was, go on.
Well, no, I think that's funny because, of course, you know, in the 2010s and stuff, I couldn't even tell you what's going on with that. It's just getting more and more absurd.
No, well, it's like songs aren't important anymore. It's your social media activity. And, you know, I'm endeavoring to increase ours, but I want to increase it with songs because I think that people still love songs. They, you know, you go on Spotify and you look at, you know, the Eagles, you look at, you know, Fleetwood Mac or whatever, and the amount of people that are listening to this music is unbelievable. Yeah. And so I want to, you know, still do songs, and I want to do, you know, be it controversial songs or songs that are, you know, catchy. I want melody. I want lyric. I want, you know, dumb songs to come back. And I think that people are ignoring songs. So I want to get into it and get back into songs.
Yeah. Do you think it's ever really going to come back around?
Look, I think that it may never come back. But here's the thing, is that the amount of young people I meet that are listening to 70s and 80s music and 90s music is unbelievable. And they're not really listening to that much. They are, you know, the new stuff, but it's more, they've got a different outlook. So you could be right, but I don't care. I'm ignoring it. I think that songs are the most important thing in music and the most important thing that singers and bands, and when people are listening, they listen to songs. You know, and it's like, you know, I'm hearing modern movies, right? And I hear these songs, and they, you know, even the modern movies, they do not let a song go. It has to be catchy. So I'm still believing it.
Yeah.
Did I answer that question quickly? It took me a long time.
I don't know, but I understand 100% what you were talking about.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the next Nirvana. You know, the last time I remember any big shakeup is when Nirvana killed the whole hair metal thing. And it changed overnight. And then Nirvana and all the grunge bands went away, and they were replaced by the boy bands, the girl bands. And it still seems like it's still there. There's not been any kind of tidal wave or a new musical movement, you know?
Well, you have to remember that Nirvana were formed in the 80s, right, and broke right at the beginning of the 90s, so they were still influenced by that. And I refer to them as the last great rock and roll band in the world. You know, there hasn't been a band that's come close to it, you know. And even in Australia, the last great band was probably Silverchair and Screaming Jets, right, in Australia, you know. And so it's like, I don't know what happened in England. I could probably pick one, but I can't pick one. But I think that, is it going to happen that you're going to... There are bands that are doing well. You know, we've got the Perth guy, Tame Impala, and they're doing huge business on Spotify. But can you sing me a song by Tame Impala?
Mark, I cannot.
Neither can I, you know, because the songs, it just doesn't seem to be there. It's another world. But I want it to be there.
Well, I want it to be there too.
I'm with you as well. I want the next Nirvana. But come on, you know. And, you know, fair enough, the drummer to Nirvana made a band that went on to kind of be the next Nirvana in a way,
Sure.
but not the same thing.
Not the same thing. No. I don't know, Mark, if we're going to get it solved here on this show, but darn it. I wish we could solve it.
We won't solve it today. We have to do the show every day for 6 times a day for 365 days, and then we might solve the problem. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we've went an hour. Ashley, do you have anything else? So we probably
No, I'm all good. I'm all good. Thanks again, Mark. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh no, I appreciate it, and appreciate your guys' time. And I'm sorry, my communication level online is terrible.
This has been fantastic.
But I am working on my. Well, thank you, but I'm working on my social media levels so that I will respond to your messages more quickly than what I have done.
Well, we'll put the link.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. We will put the links down. We will put links to whatever you want down below. So,
all right. Thank you.
Will represent, and I just want to thank you for coming on and continue to wish you success and keep plugging. Maybe we'll have that next Nirvana.
Well, Grant, you have a good summer over there.
Ashley's throwing up the CDs.
Yeah, wow.
And Ashley, you enjoy winter. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's hot right now.
Yeah, yeah, like in Europe. Hello. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Later.
I want to thank Mark Gable for coming on today, the Choirboys. If you'd like to support this channel, we do have a Patreon. We also have a Ko-fi. Buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We're just here talking music and talking to Mark, for goodness sakes. Go out and check out some Choirboys, for crying out loud. And if you want, go out and check out that little known band show that we played some Choirboys on. So anyway, and actually, I did a show, a Vinyl Vault show on the Choirboys where I featured the first album. I played 5 tracks off the first Choirboys album.
Yes. I got the royalties for that. I was amazed.
Yeah, I couldn't monetize any of it, so you're probably getting paid somewhere.
$400 a track. I had to send it to Rick Nielsen.
Rick Nielsen, 100%. All right, kids, we'll see you. Mark, have a good one. Everybody keep it clean, and we'll see you next one.
Thank you.